Hey there guys, it's BenjiBain here, in the draw phase, doing something a little different today with some post commentary on the Endymion deck as I push it to Plat 4. But before we get into all that, I just wanted to give a quick update on some things. You guys are absolutely nuts with the support recently, like holy shit. I know it hasn't even been that long, and it's not much, but for what it's worth, thank you. Truly, thank you. Every day when I go to check and see someone's new comment, or when my monkey brain just sees the number get bigger, which you should help make it even larger by hitting that red button down there, it keeps me motivated to continue producing the content for you guys. So thanks again, really. And let's set a like goal. Should we set a like goal? Is it too early for this? Nah, who cares? Let's see if you guys can get this vid to 30, count them, 30 likes. Can we do it? I don't know, but I'd sure look dumb if we didn't, so don't make me look dumb, please. I have a family. Anyways, don't forget to leave a comment. I do read all of them, and I'm still choosing one comment each video to share or highlight for future ones. So maybe you could be that comment. Who knows? Just type something, I don't know, mash your keyboard. That'd be pretty funny to highlight next video, I think. Here's one from last video from Simon and Kuro. Sorry if I pronounced those wrong. Saying how much they cringed at my first duel due to my many misplays. But enough of the speech, let's get right into the main phase. Okay, so some context. Opponent here is playing Gren Maju OTK, but he hasn't drawn his Maju quite yet, thankfully. He has, however, gained a lot of life points, you know, in case you couldn't read or something. At this point, I believe we both have used a pot of D, and there is, I believe, only about 17 or so cards in my deck, as well as my opponent also having about 20 or so. But my opponent has also played a Max C, which is important for later. Right now though, I'm normal summoning Jackal, so I can use it and Cerberus to make Breaker the Link monster, and then Pen Summon to get the second counter on Breaker, so that he can then use his effect to pop the Soul Absorption. I said Breaker 3 times in that sentence, what the fuck? Now I'm using Magister to get more bodies for Link climbing, and I also negate the Orochi here. Just cuz, I guess? I'm not entirely sure why.
Hello there.
But I get another Serbi here, and I use Magister and Breaker to make Celine, which her effect of getting counters for however many spell cards are on your field and in the grave, gets me to a Servant that I special summon in defense to the only zone she's pointing to right now, which I then use to go into Access Code, and you already know Access Code, get rid of his field basically, and then unfortunately, I can't go for game because my dude here has over 20,000 life points. I'm honestly just praying at this point he does not have that Gren Maju, as he would definitely end me for this and probably the next 3 duels. At this point, I am literally sweating and getting nervous as I realize by now I do not have a lot of cards left in my deck. And it's definitely not worth pot of D'ing here, so I pass. So, on my opponent's turn, I decide to let the Bigfoot go through, even though I figured it really can't do too much harm anyways. I get game killed here, which isn't fun. However, since my opponent is using kaijus, he has a very smooth brain. So he game kills my Cerberus? Okay, definitely wasn't the target to kaiju, but whatever. I actually do let this trade-in go through because I'm a savage like that and I like living life on the edge. I'm glad I didn't negate the Bigfoot because now my opponent gets out alpha and I'm like, oh no, he's gonna send back my access code and Endymion to the hand, which honestly might be a mistake for him to send Endymion back to my hand, because the amount of counters I could potentially grow and then summon him out again, or even pendulum summon, is kind of nuts. But he goes into number 23, Lancelot, which, I mean, damn, didn't see that one coming. And it's really unfortunate because obviously I can't let this effect go through for free. My mind clearly was elsewhere though, because I figured, well, might as well negate it since I can, you know, but then Zeus comes out, which I probably should have saw coming, but I didn't. And now my whole board is gone. And it's sad because I really honestly could have prevented it. So now I'm really getting scared here because I have little cards left in the deck, and Pot of D will get me even lower than that. But lo and behold, Spell Power Mastery off the top. I decided to use it obviously before I desires because it's best to search first, then draw the cards later. Take note here, my opponent activates another max cock in response, so now I'm thinking, man, I gotta make plays now as my opponent gets more card advantage? Anywho, I decided to grab Reflection here because honestly I'm trying to build scales, and the best way for that to happen is to grab the smaller scale since it's the only scale left that's low, and just pray that Pot of D gets me the high scale. Preferably Endymion, because it's Endymion, but we only got Magister. But it's also fine because off a chicken game we get Abductor. So I go ahead and Pendulum Summon, both from the extra deck and Abductor herself, but to be frank, I had no clue what I wanted to do this turn. Cerberus isn't able to destroy Zeus because he's in the extra monster zone, the Link monster, not the Pendulum monster. Nothing else really helps here, so I'm looking and I'm thinking and I'm processing, and finally I just decide to Electrum because why not? And so maybe I'll get another monster or something I can summon to do something else with. I mean, it was looking very dire and desperate. You can tell by the timer that I was big thunking here. I finally decide to get back Endymion, and holy crap, I pulled the last card in my deck from Abductor. I decide, guess it's better to get Magister effect to get Serby, and then what? Wait, what just happened? No. What? My opponent drew all of their cards off of Max C? Holy shit. Let me tell you that I definitely did not notice that live. I was actually stunned for a good minute or two there, but yeah, wow. I really am an idiot sometimes. Either way though, we fucking take those. Alright, anywho, let's get into the next one. Here, we're facing the waifus. No, not that one. No, not that one either. It's Dragonmaids, you weirdos. Anywho, I start off with a goated hand here and make a pretty heavy board if you know what I mean. Honestly, if you have the spell counters here on both Jackal Kings and targets for Endy Boy, you'd probably be fine with ending on this board. 2 monster negates and 1 spell and trap negate is pretty OD. However, again, your boy likes to cause his own suffering, you feel? And do I sure do so by comboing into a better board here, quote unquote. You do the typical Electrum and Astrograph play here, basically a free +1, and it helps you link climb. I'm also even able to get Absolute Dragon since I had Reflection to Pendulum Summon. I then use Absolute, Servant, and Electrum to go straight into Apo because I figured Jackal King with 4 counters is pretty reliable. Which, doing so also gets my Vortex Dragon out to get some action with these other dragons, you know? You see, because he's the Omni Negate. He basically can negate anything, only once per turn though, and it does return a Pendulum back to my deck, which is pretty nice. Now, this is a strong board and all, but one of the easiest ways to get past it would be, you know, Kaiju's, Dark Ruler, Droplet. or just fucking super poly, because Apo and Vortex just happen to both be wind. I'm gonna be real with you on this one. This honestly kind of tilted me, as I spent so much time and effort on my board. Anyway, my opponent now has free will to do whatever he wants with his board, but I still do have one monster negate. If I can just keep Jackal King on the field, I can maybe still bring this back, but it will be difficult. And then I stop a search. Oh boy. You might think this was a good negate, but let me explain in post why it's not. It turns out my opponent did not have their fusion card, because if they did, they probably would have used it by now. Anywho, opponent goes into Phoenix to pop a scale, which is a good play from them because it denies my servant for the follow-up next turn. Anyways, back to the bad negate. If I had waited to negate the battle phase effect, Jackal King would probably still be here. I think definitely better than Magister with just 2 counters on the field. And now I gotta rely on my top deck. Let's hope it's good. And yep, I only run 1 copy of that card in my deck list, guys. Sigh. Well, it's still fine. You might be saying I should have used Secret Village here to get my 3rd counter on Magister, but the thing is, Secret Village requires me to have a spellcaster to activate spell cards, which I think includes activating Magister effect. I'm not entirely sure about that. Someone might have to get a judge for that. Anyways, I figured that my opponent can't kill me next turn, so I just pass. On my opponent's turn, he top decks Pot of P. Awesome. Wish I top decked some kind of pot. He even hits the fusion off of only 3 cards. Rigged the game, I swear. He attempts to fuse, but pops their big kitchen effect? Which basically doesn't let the fusion resolve, which now I'm going, I guess I'm not the only one that misplays, haha. Besides that, we live in, and Magister even has 3 counters for the follow-up. Surely nothing can go wrong, right? He searches Parlor and then sends Parlor. He then activates the fusion card in Grave to use it for real this time. So now I gotta bait out the thick thigh Shiyu. And oh wow, look at that. I topped Pot of D. Awesome. Now, which to bait for Shiyu? Clearly the Pot of D, since they definitely won't let me get a draw too. In hindsight, it probably would have been best to bait with Magister so I could actually get the +2, but I digress. That's pretty obvious, you know. I get Big Endy Boy out, but honestly, I don't have many options here. House is even thicker than Shiyu, and I don't think any links could be of use here. I decided it's best to just get some damage in and go down fighting at this point. But at least my opponent can activate spells now. But yeah, such is my fate. Losing to Dragon Waifus. I decide to pop Endy Boy, cause why not? Just another screw you to their face, which lets me normal summon Magister, but nothing I do here will change the inevitable. I get to battle, and they do their switch out stuff, and I even get Magister into scale for no reason, but yeah, it's really just lights out from here. House will destroy Endymion, and I'll have an open board. But yeah, that do be how the cookie crumbles. This deck, it definitely is still a work in progress. Maybe I could try a more going second type of deck, where the plan is to get Endymion out from the scale to basically pop your opponent's entire board. But that variation is a bit more expensive, needing multiple spellbook URs and multiple Magician's Souls. Anywho, let's get into the last duel, shall we? Alright, final duel of the vid. Hope you're comfy and relaxed and enjoying the commentary. Let me know your thoughts. Do you like this sort of analytical and judgmental post commentary, or should I just go back to making the highlights from my streams? Oh, that reminds me, I do stream, by the way, every Saturday around 6:30 p.m. EST, twitch.tv/BenjiBain. Currently doing a new run for Breath of the Wild. Already finished Great Plateau, and I'll be heading to Kakariko to speak with Impa on this next upcoming stream. So I hope to see you there. Not sure if people, like or love or even enjoy the Legend of Zelda series, but damn it, I love me some Breath of the Wild, and I simply cannot wait for Breath of the Wild 2. Anywho, tell me your thoughts. I'm always open to suggestions. Maybe I should play a new deck, and if you agree, which deck would you want to see me pick up and learn? Maybe something more gimmicky? I don't know, let me know. Anyways, back to the duel. Unfortunately, I didn't get the best opening hand here. Usually you want to open with 2 scales, preferably Servant and some other high scale, with a bunch of draw cards for counters and your other extenders. But yeah, didn't get that here, so I was only able to end on a single Endy Boy and a Jackal King. I could have gone into Electrum and do all that, but I figured it'd be best to save that for next turn, if there is one, since who knows if my opponent will have something like Lava Golem or so. But we do have Magister for next turn as well, as a spell and trap negate and a monster negate. Now, my opponent is playing heroes. Honestly, I say you should definitely wait till they start bringing out the extra deck monsters to negate anything, as most of the main deck effects are just gonna keep adding and adding. Trust me, with heroes, you negate 1 search and they'll have 3 others in their hand. So I do follow that strat here and decide not to gate Stratos, but now Polly is played, and honestly I'm scratching my head. He's probably only gonna get Dangerous out, but maybe he did brick and he just doesn't have any other play. Which I do go for the latter option here, which is a dumb option considering he just added a Dusted Gold to his hand, so he's able to get another fusion card anyway. Which still doesn't even matter because he already has Fusion Destiny in his hand. So the Dangerous does come out, and Shadow Mist and Malicious is gonna help him extend this turn. Now, you'd think I learned from my recent mistake to negate Polly and wait for Malicious Bane or even Dark Claw to come out before using Jackal King. Yet, despite that obvious logic, I believe I had done ketamine that day, so let this be a lesson to you all. Don't do drugs, kids, especially ketamine. They make your Yu-Gi-Oh! Fever worsen. Anywho, Bane is brought out, and there goes my Jackal King. Luckily, Endy Boy doesn't die by card effects if he's got a counter, so he bing chilling. However, now my opponent is really comboing, and he's getting a whole bunch of monsters out and stuff, and then he summons Plasma? I definitely can see why he would do this, but I still have a decent follow-up next turn. I didn't get the best draw, but I do still have my Servant and Magister in scales with plenty of counters. I go ahead and bring out Cerberus on my turn, because I'm still an idiot, but I then remember I need to get Endymion into my hand, which I do thanks to Mythical Institution, the continuous spell down there. And also, luckily, I didn't use Magister first or this play wouldn't work. Which, if you didn't know, Endymion Boy here is able to summon itself from the scale if you can spend 6 Munners, and then has the effect to destroy as many cards on the field as possible, for however many cards you can put spell counters on, of course. Which is still the pendulum effect, so cards like Apo, Psyframe Gear Gamma, Skill Drain, even Solemn Judgment, though they can't negate the summon, as the effect is to summon Endymion and immediately select cards to destroy on the summon. So they'd have to negate the activation in scale, not as soon as he hits the field. But it still technically can dodge Judgment, and of course Plasma, because Plasma only negates monster effects on the field, and since it's the pendulum effect, his entire board is wiped. It's honestly why I thought my opponent shouldn't have summoned Plasma and should have just used his massive board for control, because he then passes this next turn. I also still don't have game, unfortunately, but with his Secret Village, it's basically game for the hero player, as they kind of rely on their spell cards and their entire deck is warriors. I finally used Magister that has been waiting in scale for like 4 turns now, and wow, he actually top decked Max Cheese. But Jackal King sorts that out easily, and I decide to get another Jackal King as I might need another monster negate for some reason. I don't know. Oh yeah, that's right. It's cause of increase. I totally meant to get Jackal King out specifically for increase. Yeah. At this point, opponent is out of options and he realizes this as his next draw does not help him. And that, my friends, is G fucking G. This was also the game that got me to Plat 4, so we get in there, we climbing, you know. But yeah, that's gonna be all for this video. If you got this far, don't forget to like the video. It really does help me out with the holy algorithm. And leave a comment saying how stupid hero players are. If you're a hero player, I am not apologizing. One of the most expensive decks in the game, and it's not even tier 3, you bozos. Also, I am streaming tomorrow, some Breath of the Wild, as I said, going to be around 6:30 p.m. EST, twitch.tv/BenjiBain. I hope to see all 5 of you there. You should also view off of a browser if you can, if you have the luxury to. Because if you do, you can use the FrankerFace Z and better TTV extensions, because I do have my own channel emotes. Those are shared, those aren't mine. However, if more growth happens on Twitch, then I'd love to create some of the most shit posting emotes ever for you guys. But yeah, if you don't know what I'm talking about, just go look it up. It really only takes about 10 seconds to find, and I'll even link a video. I found it and it's about a minute long, so pretty sure all of your attention spans can handle it. But aside from all that, hope you all have a wonderful weekend. It's been BenjiBain, and I'm now in the end phase. Peace out, guys.